Hey guys, we're gonna keep doing a few more sets here. I'm just gonna try to get some more games for the Puresteel collar deck. And as always, the main and the sideboard is constantly changing. One of the weak points that I've been running into in the last few matchups is Delver, both Delver Blade and Delver, the Esper variant. And so I'm not sure if this is going to necessitate a change in the main board. There are certain cards that are very good against Delver, and I'm just not sure, what kind of changes we can do to sort of make it get there. But the game one is pretty rough, and even post-board it's still pretty rough. So we're gonna keep doing a few games here just to sort of find out, kind of what works, what doesn't work. But hopefully we will get a better game plan. It's doing pretty well against other decks. Still just trying to have the combo element as well as to have enough power, via sort of War and Peace and Mirror Crusaders. So if you have comments or ideas about directions maybe the deck should go, definitely speak up and leave a comment. Pretty excited about this hand. I mean, turn 1 champion is always a good hand, especially if we have blue mana to go into Trinket Mage. War and Peace can just win by itself, so this looks like a pretty good hand. I think, now that some of the changes have been made to the deck, and it's sort of more top-heavy than it was, really, wanting to keep 2 land hands at a bare minimum is probably going to be more what you're looking to do. Now, in the past, the deck had been so cheap and the mana cost had been so low that there were many times when you really could get away with 1 land hands and not be that far off, just because the mana curve was so incredibly low and low to the ground. But I think now that we have, 4 of Mirror Crusader, 3 main deck swords of War and Peace, and the Trinket Mages, probably be more likely to try to keep 2 landers at the very least. So it looks like we are up against Tezzeret Control, which is a fun deck. And I'm not sure how the matchup is. I've only had a chance to play against it really once. But it does have some pretty nasty cards against us. It looks like this might just be traditional Esper Control, so I guess we'll find out. Now, since he's tapped out here, normally, if he had 2 mana up, I'd be a bit more going into like Trinket Mage, which is still a great play here. But I think that getting the War and Peace in play, well, since he's black, he probably has removal, so maybe getting the creatures down first is probably not the worst move. It's a very, good possibility that he has Tragic Slip in hand. And Grafdigger's Cage is pretty good against him, so especially if he is the Esper variant. But then again, with Nihil Spellbomb, it's possible that he is Tezzeret. Tezzeret is probably not nearly as affected by Cage. Well, I suppose we'll find out. So it looks like he is more of the Esper Control variant. Very happy to just go ahead and just drop a sword and a Grafdigger's Cage. Now we could attack with both guys here. The one possible problem is that he might just have like Liliana. If he has Liliana, I suppose he just gets us. I still think it's worth attacking with both, but because if he doesn't, he might just have Intangible Virtue or something like that. So it's really kind of hard to know sort of what he's got. Now, if he goes Liliana next turn and just blows us out, it's obviously going to be pretty rough. So we could just go like Collar here, just to kind of I mean, collar may not be the worst play here, just because we can still play Sword of War and Peace next turn, and we have an extra one in case he counters it. So just to kind of hedge a little bit. So we want to make sure we still have a creature in play. And sort of with that in mind, it probably would have been much better to play it pre-combat, but better late than never. So it turns out that this is actually going to be quite good against him, the cage. And luckily we do have the Puresteel for the War and Peace into the free equip. So, barring any kind of shenanigans, this should be a pretty nice turn. And hopefully this should do it with Mortar Pod backup. Part of the reason we moved the collar over here is just in case he has like Black Sun for 2, just to kind of maximize our threats. So against Esper Control, very happy to see Grafdigger's Cage. Now, most likely this deck can board into like Bloodline Keeper also, and with the Lingering Spirits, Gale is going to be pretty good. Definitely want to bring in O-Ring and Purge just to stop the inevitable Curse of Death's hold. I still think War and Peace is quite good against him. Spellskite may or may not be that good, just depending on what kind of package he's bringing in. Now, if he has like Oblivion Ring and Provoke Existence, and we see a lot of that kind of nonsense, we might want to shift it back in. However, if he is running cards like Go for the Throat, not going to be nearly as effective. Definitely want to bring in Parasite just to kind of forestall any of the Planeswalker shenanigans. And then we could bring in Image just in case he has like the Elish Norn, you know, or a Sun Titan, something like that. So it's definitely going to be pretty live. Cards here that we want to cut. Let's see. I mean, we want to keep much, you know, a fair amount of our business cards here. He's going to probably have some mass removal, either Day of Judgment or possibly Black Sun. So I think Champion is actually not as good in this matchup here. Kind of same with Gather. I mean, Gather's always fine, obviously, but Traveler I think is pretty good here, just because Traveler really kind of, you know, lives through Wraths, provides extra guys. Then again, you know, against like Curse of Death's hold, Champion is a better card, so it's can kind of go either way. I think I'm just going to kind of hedge here a little bit. Let's I need to cut quite a few cards here. Mortar Pod probably not as good against him. It's going to be a sort of a nice sort of ending gameplay, and then we can probably maybe cut a collar here. That should be fine. So this hand is just fine. But it really kind of comes down to what kind of package this guy's running. If he has like Consecrated Sphinx, other cards like that, we definitely want to have the Gale in there just in case he has like the Bloodline Keeper or the Sphinx or definitely the Lingering Souls. So here he probably has counter or some sort of maybe go for the throat. Either way, not a big deal. So here, I mean, we're happy to just to drop the mortar pod. So we can kind of mess up his blocks a little bit. We definitely want to make sure we can keep 2 creatures in play because we don't want to get hit by Liliana. So we know he doesn't have the double white, so he could be holding Day, but we can probably, not feel too bad about that. Yeah, he definitely needs the white source here, for sure. Or the black source. There's Liliana. Okay. So at least we have the Hex Parasite to back it up. Ideally I want to play both creatures here, but Liliana does really need to die. So now he's going to go try to get back on the Day of Judgment plan. Now we're happy to drop Trinket Mage into Grafdigger's Cage to stop the reoccurrence there. The nice thing about Hex Parasite is it's very, very good against Ratchet Bomb. And I mean, here we could attack with Parasite. If he has a Snapcaster, he gets our Parasite, and I really like Parasite being able to lock down his Ratchet Bomb. So I think we're just going to attack with just the Trinket Mage. Because Parasite is going to definitely keep us in control here, especially if he has other Planeswalkers. Alright, let's see, how do we want to do this? Now, what we could have done there is we could have just mortar potted both creatures prior to combat, which may not have been the worst play, to be honest, just because we're kind of on a clock now a little bit. Especially if he draws, like, Day of Judgment, so might have really been the right play there to nuke his creatures down. So probably would have been better there. Then we can also attack with Hex Parasite, so it just kind of opens up some different avenues there. So now this time we are definitely taking out these spirits. And actually we could have just Corrosive Galed last turn, so would have been a much, much better play. So this turn we pretty much just Corrosive Gale, bash in, keep him off of a Ratchet Bomb, and hopefully he's drawing dead. He has a lot of cards here which he could just blow us out with, but just want to try to burn him down as fast as humanly possible. We could also just, like, double Mortar Pot here, lose 1 damage, which is honestly not the worst, because this way if he does play a bigger threat later on, we'll have an answer for it. We lose 1 point of damage, but honestly, not that big a deal. Now we have enough for one per Ratchet Bomb, and bringing one back with the Moorland Haunt. Okay. Okay, so the plan is hopefully he doesn't draw anything good, and keep him off of Ratchet Bomb. Hopefully this is not Day of Judgment. Or Black Sun. Ugh, not a lot we can do about it though. So now we have to Oblivion Ring the Ratchet Bomb so he doesn't get to blow up Grafdigger's Cage. Try to get there with tokens. We could have had one more attack if we'd done this the turn before with a Corrosive Gale, so he should be at roughly about 7. Hopefully we don't lose to that. O-Ring takes care of Ratchet Bomb, and then we just keep pushing. Hopefully we can draw into like sort of War and Peace, make a quick game of it. Okay, so our opponent's got the stone nothing. And he just gave us the match. Alright. So we will see you guys next time. Thanks again for watching, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them in the video. We'll definitely be looking forward to hearing about, you know, other cards that might make this a little bit of a better, more sharply tuned deck, getting ready for the PTQ season. And also getting ready for the GPs.